Rose McGowan was born on September 5th, 1973 in Florence, Italy. Her parents were part of a new religious community created in the 60s known as the Children of God. Rose spent her childhood in communes run by the church. Later, she traveled throughout Europe. By the age of 15, she had officially emancipated herself from her parents. Rose had her Hollywood acting debut in 1992's Encino Man, starring Pauly Shore and Brendan Fraser. Later being in a famous relationship with Marilyn Manson. Today, let's take a look at this actress's horror highlights.
Number 5, Devil in the Flesh.
Released in 1998, this movie has 45% on Rotten Tomatoes, and you can stream it for free on Tubi. Rose plays Debbie in this 90s horror/thriller movie, a beautiful but troubled teenager living with her formerly estranged grandmother after her parents die in a mysterious house fire. Debbie's grandmother is a strict Christian fundamentalist and mistreats her granddaughter by making her wear her dead mother's clothes and by beating her with a cane. However, once the grandmother threatens to put her in reform school, the tables turn. Debbie grabs the cane from her abuser and puts the beat down on her until she falls dead. Debbie then becomes infatuated with her high school English teacher, Mr. Rinaldi. But all her advances are rebuffed. Mr. Rinaldi is in a happy relationship with his fiancée Marilyn, but even this does nothing to stop Debbie from getting what she wants. As the bodies start to pile up, Debbie breaks into Marilyn's house to finally get rid of her competition. As she knocks Marilyn unconscious and gets ready to snuff her out, Mr. Rinaldi rushes in to save her. During the melee, Mr. Rinaldi is stabbed in the shoulder and brought to the hospital as the movie ends, with Debbie being arrested.
Number 4, Jawbreaker.
That's Courtney. She was the leader. She was like Satan in heels. The blonde, Marcy Fox, a legend in her own little mind, known to herself as Foxy.
This movie was released in 1999, only 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, and this movie is available for rent on many platforms. The Flawless Four are the most popular girls at Regan High School. The queen bee of this clique is Courtney, played by Rose McGowan. This film is like the dark precursor to Mean Girls. When asked about the title, director Darren Stein had this to say. The Jawbreaker just came to represent the duality of the poppy sweetness of girls of high school and of youth, versus the whole idea that this thing could break your jaw. Of the Flawless Four, Liz seems to be the only one that has a kind heart. On Liz's 17th birthday, the other girls play a trick on her by kidnapping her, tying her up, and shoving a jawbreaker in her mouth to keep her quiet, and shoving her into the trunk of a car. As the trunk is lifted and Courtney takes a picture of Liz, the dark truth is revealed. This prank has turned deadly. Liz is choked to death on the jawbreaker and lies dead in the trunk of the car. Courtney starts to cover her tracks and calls the school to inform him Liz is sick and won't be coming in. Social outcast Fern learns the real reason behind Liz's absence after stumbling upon her body. Having worshipped Liz, Fern runs off in terror only to be tracked down by Courtney. Here, a deal is made. Keep your mouth shut and we'll make you pretty and popular. Fern is soon transformed into a beautiful exchange student named Violet. Courtney continues to cover up the crime, and Marilyn Manson actually makes a small cameo. Fern's transformation actually goes better than expected, and her popularity surpasses that of Courtney's. Courtney obviously can't have this and proceeds to tear down what she had previously built up. Hanging up yearbook photos of Fern all over the high school showing that this is actually Violet. As the senior prom approaches, the other girls dig up some blackmail on Courtney. An audio message where Courtney admits to the murder of Liz. As Courtney's dream becomes reality, she is announced as the prom queen. At this exact moment, the audio message is played.
I killed Liz. I killed the teen dream. Deal with it. Thank you so much.
In a truly epic scene, we watch as Courtney has a complete mental breakdown and the students in attendance turn on her, throwing objects and yelling at her. As Courtney is in the throes of anguish, a photo is snapped of her, forever immortalizing the face of true terror.
Number 3, Death Proof.
Pam, which way you going? Left or right?
Right.
That's too bad.
Why?
Well, because there was a 50-50 shot on whether you'd be going left or right.
This movie was released in 2007 with 64% on Rotten Tomatoes. You can stream this movie on YouTube TV. This one was written and directed by Quentin Tarantino, known as a grindhouse film, which is a very interesting genre. Starring a grizzled stuntman named Mike, played by Kurt Russell. The action starts off in a strip club. Once leaving the club, Mike offers Pam, played by Rose, a ride in his self-described death-proof car. A Hollywood stunt car rigged with a roll cage. Soon we find out this statement is a little misleading. Pam does not survive long in this movie. Mike drives the car recklessly and informs Pam that the car is indeed death-proof, but only if you're using the harness. Unfortunately for Pam, only the driver's side has a harness, and she is pummeled to death, eventually smashing her face at high speed into the dash of the vehicle, killing her. Months later, Mike is stalking 3 women. Taking them for an easy target, he finds out these women are badasses and not to be trifled with. While test driving a 1970 Dodge Challenger, Mike rear-ends them. Soon the women get the upper hand on Mike and basically beat him to death. No more late-night murder rides for old Mike.
Number 2, Planet Terror.
Released in 2007 with 78% on Rotten Tomatoes. You can stream this one today on Prime. Planet Terror is another grindhouse masterpiece from Mr. Tarantino. And in this one, Rose has much more of a leading role. Rose plays Cherry Darling, a go-go dancer in rural Texas. Soon, a mass amount of DC-2, a biochemical agent, is released into the air, turning the townsfolk into ravenous zombies. Cherry and her mysterious boyfriend El Rey try to make it out of town, but are overrun by zombies. The zombies turn Cherry's leg into an all-you-can-eat buffet, and El Rey rushes her to the local hospital. After being detained by the sheriff, El Rey finds his way back to Cherry, who is visibly bummed that she lost her leg. To cheer her up, he jams a wooden table leg into Cherry's stump so she can hobble around on her own. Some guys just know how to treat a lady. Cherry and El Rey make it to the Bone Shack, a barbecue joint run by the sheriff and his brother JT. Here they make a stand against the zombies until the military shows up and takes out the remainder of the horde. The military is constantly looking for the DC-2 chemical, as constant inhalation prevents them from mutating into zombies. Cherry is taken by the soldiers and forced to dance. She soon breaks her wooden leg over a soldier's head, then stabs him in the eye. El Rey catches up with her again, and this time attaches an assault rifle and grenade launcher to her stub. A major upgrade from the wooden table leg she was using. Unfortunately, El Rey is killed, but Cherry, with her bionic leg, leads the survivors out of danger and into a peaceful settlement in the Caribbean. As the movie ends, Cherry gives birth to a daughter, revealing that El Rey was the father.
Number 1, Scream.
Released in 1996, 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. You can watch this one today on Max or Hulu. This slasher flick from the 90s is ingrained in pop culture and introduced many of us to the horror genre. This Wes Craven film has stood the test of time and Rose McGowan left her mark on this massively popular horror standout. Scream follows Woodbury High School student Sydney Prescott, played by Neve Campbell, as she navigates growing up without her mother, who was violently murdered. As the movie opens, we see Casey, played by Drew Barrymore, get the business end of a knife. That knife being wielded by the infamous Ghostface. Rose plays Tatum Riley, a high school student who is part of the friend group being terrorized by Ghostface. Tatum is also the sister of Deputy Dewey Riley, portrayed by David Arquette, one of the main characters in the Scream franchise. This movie revolves around Sydney dodging attacks from Ghostface as the bodies of her friends pile up all around her, one of those being Tatum. As Randy, played by Jamie Kennedy, explains the rules to surviving a horror movie, Tatum goes to the garage to grab some beers, isolating herself from the group. This is all it takes for her to end up in an epic kill scene as she becomes stuck in the garage door. As Ghostface hits the button to raise the door, she is crushed. After this, the movie becomes a carnival ride of bloody carnage. Sydney learns the truth behind her mother's murder, and we see Ghostface unmasked. As these questions get answered, the foundation for the Scream franchise is built. What are your thoughts? Are you a fan of Rose McGowan? Did I leave out any of her horror highlights? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for checking out this video. If you liked it, take a look at my other content and hit that subscribe button.